Hi everybody, my name is Simon Morse and I'm the manager of 3dtotal. Now if you're a digital artist, whether you're a digital painter or a 3D artist, you will inevitably have spent some time in the past researching graphics tablets. And graphics tablets are really important. If you're an artist, if you're creative, you want to feel that the technology you're using is really intuitive. You want to feel almost like it's an extension of yourself when you are being creative. So choosing the right device is not a small thing, it's really important. Now rewind a few years, if you were doing that research, you wouldn't have had a great deal of choice. There wouldn't have been that many devices probably in your price range or even available. But as time has gone by, there are an increased amount of brands producing fantastic devices. We've of course got Wacom, added to that we've got XP Pen, Huion, and the list goes on. But in recent times, there's a new name on the block. This is of course Xencelabs. And if you do look at our website regularly, you will know that I reviewed one of their devices maybe just a little over a year ago. And I absolutely loved it. And I particularly loved their quick keys, which looked a little bit like this. So I was absolutely over the moon when Xencelabs dropped me an email recently and said, "Hey Simon, would you please do a review of our new pen display device? It's 24 inches and we'd love to know what you think." So this is it. This is my review of their 24-inch pen display device. And just to cut to the chase, I think this is absolutely brilliant. Okay, so watch on if you want to find out why I think that's the case. Okay, so let's start talking about some of the simple features that I absolutely love on this Xencelabs 24-inch pen display tablet. First of all, I'm going to talk about a mild obsession of mine, which is the stand. Now, I can be a bit of a leaner. By that I mean I put a lot of my weight on my pen display tablet, so I won't draw like this and lean on it for long periods of time. Now that is bad for a number of reasons. One, because it puts a lot of pressure on the stand, and if that stand isn't really sturdy, that's a problem. Two, it puts a lot of pressure on my back and my neck, both of which I have problems with. Now Xencelabs have thought about that. They know that artists might be using these devices for hours and hours on end, leaning over them. So what they've done is they've built a really sturdy stand. And what it means is this pen display does not wobble about when you're painting on it, and it can be adjusted really easily. So you can use just one hand, you pull a clip on the back and you pull it upright, and there you have a new position. And that means you can adjust it to take pressure off your neck, off your back, but all the while, whilst you're doing that, it is rock solid. You can lean on it and put a lot of pressure on it without it moving around when you're drawing on it or painting on it. That's really important to me. It sounds like a small thing, but in regards to using these things, it's massively important. Okay, let's move on and talk about something else. Now you may be able to hear the fan of my PC just behind me, but if you put your ear right next to this, you will hear absolutely nothing at all. There is no fan at all. There is no fan noise, you can't hear a thing. This is a Ninja pen display. It does not make any noise at all. And that's really amazing and again quite important. But you might be thinking, well Simon, therefore doesn't it just get a bit warm? Aren't there some heat spots? You can run your hand over this entire device and there is no warm area at all. There are no heat spots. It's an amazing bit of technology they've made here. This is totally unique to me. I've never experienced this before, but it's really refreshing when you're using it, and it feels therefore like a really high quality, high value item. Now there are loads of USB ports around this, so if you wanted to plug in your phone charger or charge any other device, you can do so, and I think that's really practical. But I want to draw your attention to just one thing, which seems again like such a small thing. It's funny, isn't it, how these small things can make such a big difference to us, and that is the pen holder. So here's my pen, and just over here I have a pen holder that I can pull out. I don't know if you'll be able to see that there. I'll hold it against the white. Very basic piece of plastic there. And what these do is they can slot in around the edge of the device. There are multiple places you can put these. Now Xencelabs know that people like to customize their devices. So you can actually download a 3D file and customize and 3D print your own pen holders to customize your device. And I know that some users have done that with amazing results. Maybe if you Google that and search it online, you'll see those. It's incredible. It's a really interesting, very basic thing to do, but it's fun and it helps make this device feel specifically like your own. Now I should spend more time talking about the screen on this device because it is not reflective at all. Now it's a really gloomy day actually here outside my garden office. I've got these strong head spotlights above me, and as I look down at the device I cannot see them at all. There is no reflection at all on this device. they've created an incredible screen here. First of all, it's very paper-like, so it's very much so like drawing on paper or really decent cardstock, which I think we all love and we all appreciate. But there are no reflections on it anywhere at all. Even when I do have a strong light coming through my window from the sun outside on the rare days that it actually is sunny in the UK, there's still no problems on this. You can still see every part of the screen. You don't lose anything to a glare. And that is really important and incredibly well delivered on this device. One more thing before we move on, I'm going to talk about the cursor. Now, if you've used any pen display before, as you move your pen over like this, you'll see the cursor follow your pen around the screen. And sometimes that can be a little bit frustrating. And that's because most devices will pick up your pen cursor probably for an inch or two away from the screen. On this device, it's a little bit different. You have to get much nearer the screen before your cursor appears exactly where you are hovering. Now that sounds like a small thing, but when you're working on a painting for a long piece of time, if you're immersed in what you're doing and you're shifting between brushes, going around your screen, actually that's really, really good. You don't lose your cursor over here. You don't find that you're clicking on things by accident. It will only respond when you're probably about half a centimetre, a quarter of an inch away from the screen. Again, it sounds like a small thing, but when you're using it for a long period of time, it feels really, really natural. It is like using a pen or a pencil or a paintbrush on a canvas. All these little things don't sound like much, but when you add them all together, gives you what is a really intuitive experience where it feels like you're almost painting naturally or traditionally, but you're using a digital device. And these are all little things, but they add up to a great deal of importance to someone like me when I'm using a device like this for a long period of time. So at this point, I'll take the opportunity to apologise for this incredibly extreme close-up of my face, but it's necessary just to go through a few more features of the 24-inch pen display tablet that Xencelabs have sent through to me. Now, they're obviously thinking about the user when they created this device. They're obviously doing research, they're consulting with artists, because what they've done is they've added some features to make this incredibly customizable, to make it quick and easy for you to use and adjust as you go along in your painting with as little hassle as possible. Now, you can probably just about see on the video here, there are 3 very subtle light up buttons in the top corner of the display. Now, they sit flush to the display. There is no actual physical button there to press. They're just 3 light up rings. But when you press on those, you can customize quickly the pen display to adjust it to meet your requirements as you go in the painting or as you change what you're doing if you're using 3D or 2D software. So I'll just go through those very, very quickly for you and show you some of the basics. So if we click on this one here, first of all, it opens up the control panel, which operates the software for this Xencelabs device. And on there, you can make adjustments to the settings on the pen display, the thin pen and the fat pen. Haven't even showed you those yet. And the quick keys, which again, something I haven't even shown you yet, which is amazing. So I'll just click on the thin pen for a second. We'll open the thin pen settings. And again, you can see how you can make adjustments to that and what the buttons do on there. Really, really simple, but very, very quick. No leaning over to a mouse to click on the control panel and doing anything there. Quite simply can all be done right in front of you just by tapping one of those light up rings. So I'll just clear that one. I'll show you the next one. This again is specifically to look at the pen pressure. So we can set this to adjust the pen pressure of our pen. So here we have the fatter pen here. I click on advanced settings, and some of you will be quite familiar with this kind of thing. I don't think this is totally new to you. You can draw on there, use a scribble pad, and then you can track your pressure there. You can make adjustments to it here depending on what you're doing, and then you can change your settings really, really easily. Now, sometimes if you're switching between 3D and 2D, that is super valuable, isn't it? Because you might want to change the way that you're using your pen. Again, it's such a simple thing, but it's so easily done. Again, I don't have to lean over. I don't have to click on a mouse to go and find the control panel. I just tap one of the little rings in the top corner. So close that down, and I'll finally click this one here. Now this is a good one actually, far more valuable than I thought it would be. But of course, when you're drawing on this screen, you of course have got this space selected, and that's really easy to control. But you might want to switch between screens and use your pen display across the 2 different displays, 3 different displays, even 4 different displays you might have set up with your PC. So again, you can adjust that really easy just with one simple tap of the button in the top corner. They've really thought about it, Xencelabs. They're really thinking about the user. How can we make it so that they can just immerse themselves in what they're doing, not fuss about with a mouse, not going through menus elsewhere, just tap buttons on screens and you will quickly be able to adjust this device exactly how you want it with as little hassle as possible. I absolutely love it. To your great relief, I have removed my face a little further from the camera now, because I want to talk to you about something that's kind of a cornerstone of what Xencelabs are doing in regards to all of their graphics tablets and their pen displays, and that is this quick key setup. Now, those of you that have seen these kind of devices before are aware that there are alternatives to this available now. You can buy as an add-on, if you already own a pen display, a device a bit like this. But that is a problem in itself, isn't it? Because you obviously have to research those and you have to find a compatible device that works alongside the device, the pen display or the graphics tablet that you already have. This is not true if you buy one of the Xencelabs devices like this one. These will come as standard along with your device. There are no issues of compatibility, and you absolutely know that it will work in conjunction with what you are doing. Now I'm going to close in on this in a minute and show you this in a bit more detail, but I'm just going to talk to you about it in a more general sense at the moment. These are quick keys that can be customized to shortcuts within whatever software you're using, whether it's 3D or Photoshop or any sort of digital painting software. So you're familiar with shortcuts, but these are all obviously can be customized, these keys on here, which I'll show you in just a few minutes. But what that means is you want this really super accessible. You want it as near to your space as possible. You don't want it off to the side. You don't want it, in the corner of your desk. You want it as near to where you're painting as possible. And Xencelabs have, like everything else, thought about that. So they've provided this. It's a very, very basic clip that sort of slides on and on the device, on and off the device. It's like this here. The quick keys fit in there, click in there, and you can put it around the device wherever you want. Now I'm right-handed, which means I'm going to be drawing with my right hand, so I want it on the left hand of my display, down here, and I can click that in there, and it means I can tap away at these quick keys whilst I'm painting. They're near my display, and I can do so in a really intuitive fashion. Okay, so those are some of the basics just about how it fits around your device, which I think are really cool. Now I'm going to zoom in a bit closer and show you specifically what these things do so that you can understand it a little better and see how practical that could be in your workflow. Okay, so let's talk about these quick keys just for a minute. I've obviously sung their praises to a great extent. Let's show you specifically what they do. Now, as you can see, there are a number of buttons on here. There are 4 down this side, 4 down that side. There's a dial with a button in the middle of it here. Now, as you would expect with Xencelabs, they have thought about everything. So every single one of these buttons is, of course, totally customizable. What that means is you can press one of those little light up rings that I've already shown you in the corner. You can go into your control panel and you can adjust any one of these buttons to a different shortcut. Now, that in itself is, of course, useful and totally practical, but that is not the limitation of this fantastic little device. As you can see, you've got a little dial around here that you can scroll around. There's a little sort of hole in it there, not hole in it, a little sort of dimple, I guess, that you can put your finger in to spin it around, which is really, really cool. Now, if you press that button, you can see that it adjusts mode. So it went to zoom mode then, to rotate mode, to brush size, to scroll, and to zoom. Then what you do is you can shift through these different modes with the simple press of that button there, and that will adjust what this dial does. So at the moment, of course, that will zoom in and out of my painting. If I press it again and I do that, it will rotate my painting on my canvas for me. This is all very simple, of course. Now it will adjust brush size. You can see the color changing around the light to demonstrate that you're on a different mode now. Again, scroll mode, so we can go up and down the page. Very, very simple stuff, obviously. Very familiar with you, and back at zoom. Now, what's really cool, of course, is that as these buttons are customizable, as you shift through each of the modes, you can adjust what each of these buttons does. What it means is you basically have a device which means you don't have to go back to your keyboard. You don't have to skip over to your mouse and click on something else to adjust what it is that you're doing. It means you can adjust pretty much to everything you can imagine just using this very simple and very, very basic device. Now, as I showed you before, I have this set in sort of the bottom left-hand corner of my display, and I have it this way round. So I have it sort of facing upwards to me like that. However, if you want to have it this way round, or even this way round on your right-hand side, whatever orientation you want, within the control panel, you can adjust the orientation of these words here, making it really simple to see exactly what you're doing and exactly what you're clicking on. This is absolutely fantastic. What it means is with all these different functions, all these wonderful different things I've been showing you, you just spend your time immersing yourself into the painting and creative process. Everything you need to do, everything you will want to do, is directly in front of you on the pen display device. That is fantastic. So let's start showing you some actual mark making on this pen display. There are a few things I'll typically do when trying out a pen display tablet. I'll write some words like 3dtotal here, and I'll draw some slow swirly lines, but with a pen that will adjust itself depending on the pressure sensitivity I apply. And this is a really important test to do because it gives you a great indication as to how responsive this pen is. How quickly does it move when I move, and how well does it adjust to the pressure that I'm applying to the page. And this was really, really good. It was adjusting as I wanted it to. Then I look at things like its registration. When I put a mark on the page, is it exactly where I want it to be? Is there any big jump to a space next to where I've put the pen down instead of where the pen actually touches the screen? And again, this device did incredibly well, the best I've ever seen and used in regards to a pen display. It puts the mark exactly where you put your pen down on the screen. Now really, it'd be totally unfair and wrong of me to do a review without first actually really putting the device through its paces. I needed to create a painting really, spend hours on it, so I can really understand how well this responds to what I want to do on it, so that I can tell you guys, so I can tell the reviewers if it is acting as I feel like it should do. So here you can see I'm painting a self-portrait. I'll show you this when it's done a little later on, but this is me just throwing down the early marks. These are some of the first marks that I've made on this pen display. I haven't spent hours before this. This is me just getting straight into it, throwing myself into a painting, which is really, truly what every artist wants to do. They don't want to be thinking about, is this working? Have I set it up right? They just want to throw themselves into a painting and see how it works. Throw themselves into using a device and see what they can get from it. And that is exactly what I am doing here. And my art teacher always used to say, if you don't know what to draw, draw yourself. So that's what I'm doing here. I'll show you the finished painting in a while. But there were really no learning curves for me to go through here. Immediately as I started using this device, everything felt as it should do. Everything could be adjusted really easily. There was no sort of difficulty with how I was putting the pen on the page. There were no moments where I thought, I'm not really sure if this is responding how I want it to. I want to redo that again. It felt as it should feel. And that's exactly what you want from this device. If anyone uses pen display tablets and are familiar with them, you want to be painting with as little thought as you physically can, just focusing on the creative bits that are of interest to you. And this device really, truly allows you to do that. Okay, so I'll spare you the entire painting process, but this was the very first painting that I did on this device, and there were absolutely no restrictions, no things which held me back or made it difficult for me to paint. It was incredibly intuitive, very comfortable, and it was a quick process. Everything that I needed was right there in front of me. Okay, now I have to be honest, there was one thing that when I opened the box and saw this device, I thought, I'm not sure what I think about that. And that is this amount of black space around the screen. And I looked at it and thought, well, I haven't got a huge desk. I know that a lot of people don't have, acres of space to put these kind of devices in. So I thought, I wonder if that's going to be a problem for me. I wonder if I'm not going to like it. Of course, I was totally and utterly wrong. And as you said before, Xencelabs are focusing on the end user. They are focusing on what is useful and practical and intuitive for artists. So they have done this for a very important and very practical reason. If I put my hand in the middle of the display, if I'm resting on it, drawing like this, I can move my hand all the way past the edge of the canvas, and I still have my hand steady and sturdy on the display. What that means is you don't come to the edge anywhere. You don't come to an uneven surface. You don't have an edge at which your hand might fall off the display. And there are no points to which you have to sort of dingle-dangle your hand in the air and hope that you can keep it steady enough to continue painting or click on the options you want. Xencelabs have sort of created this boundary around your canvas, around your painting space, that allows you to remain sturdy and in control of everything that you are doing. So initially I was thinking, it feels a bit like a waste of space. But actually, I was totally and utterly wrong. What it does is it provides a continuous work surface for you to work on, where you can remain steady, you can remain sturdy, and you can keep in complete control of absolutely everything you do. And it seems like such a small thing, and it seems in some ways like such an obvious thing, but really does make a massive difference when you're sitting at this device for a long period of time painting, when you're moving around your canvas quickly, trying to be as creative and intuitive as you can be. This is actually a really, really big deal. Okay, let's spend a minute talking about the pens. Now, I think Xencelabs have done something original here that I'm not sure anyone else has done. Now, I'm sure you'll tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. I haven't tried every single device, but I think this is unique and I absolutely love it. First of all, let's just show you the pens. They come in a case much like this, a bit like a glasses case. You might be familiar with this kind of thing. Other tablet producers make something similar. You open up and here you have two pens that come with the device. You have the fatter pen, which I've been using so far, and a thinner pen. It's really, really cool actually, because you can customize these two pens differently and you can put different settings on both of the pens for different buttons. That's actually really, really cool. If you're sketching and inking on your pen display tablet, you can switch between the two pens that can be set to different functions and different brushes. And what that means is it feels really like you're just using very traditional tools, switching between maybe a pencil and a marker. Really, really cool, very interesting. But this is what I think is amazing. We'll just look at this fat pen for a second here. I'll hold it here, and that has what has got a very normal, traditional sort of pen nib in it there. You won't be able to see this incredibly well on the screen, but I'll do my best to show you. But if you use the ring provided, again, which anyone who's had a pen display tablet before will be familiar with, you can remove the normal nib. And what Xencelabs have done, which I think is absolutely amazing, is they have provided this slightly different grey nib. I'm not sure how well you can see that there. It's a grey nib. And if you look at the surface of it, it is coarser. It almost has bumps on it. And we can place that inside the pen. And I think, why would you want to do that? Why on earth would you want to have a slightly coarser nib? Now, if you do a lot of digital artwork that is to look like sketching, and if you feel most comfortable using just a pencil and a piece of paper, and you come across digital artwork, you might feel, well, it feels a bit different to using a pencil on paper. And Xencelabs have thought about it again. They're thinking about the end user, they're thinking about the artist, what will they want? And they've given you a coarser nib, so that when you start to sketch on your piece of paper, the feel that it gives you when you're drawing is more of that of a pencil on a piece of paper or nice cardstock. It's a really lovely thing that they've thought about there. It seems so small, but if you're using it, it feels different and it feels more natural and it feels more organic and intuitive. It's a lovely little thing they've thought of there with these little grey nibs, and you get a number of them in the pack, so you can switch between them. You get 4 of those. And it's really, really great. And you can put one in your pencil and one in your fatter pen, and you can adjust it as you wish. It's a great thing, and it's really, really versatile. Well, I'm going to ask you to excuse the pun I'm about to make. I can sense you thinking, hey Simon, how much would this set me back? How much is this going to cost? Well, Xencelabs are retailing this exact device for £1,850, and that is including VAT. And for that price, you get absolutely everything you've seen within this review. So obviously you get the device itself. You get the amazing stand that I thought was fantastic, which is very sturdy and very robust. You get the quick keys, which I've also said are fantastic, really helpful, with 40 different buttons that you can set and customize within there. You also get the 2 pens along with the extra spare nibs. So you get all of that for £1,850. Now, it's quite important when thinking about the price of something like this, when you're thinking about making an investment like this, to have something to compare that to. Now, I've reviewed a lot of devices for 3dtotal over the years, and you can see many of those reviews on our website. But there hasn't really been one that I think compares to this for quality, something that compares to this one for how responsive it is and how good the registration is. Now, there is only one device I have used that compares to that. And I haven't used it for anywhere near as long as I've used this device, but that device would be the Wacom Cintiq Pro. Now, that retails at £1,999.99, and it is a very good device. However, to have this kind of setup that we've looked at today, you would need to invest in a few additional things. The Ergo stand, which is very good, retails at nearly £500. To buy an extra pen, an extra thin pen like the one that you get for free in this set, that would be an additional roughly £100. Now, if you want to get some quick keys, again, that would be an additional price to pay on top of that, nearly £2,000. Now, I've not fully tested that device, but so far that is the only device I've had my hands on, which I think compares to this one. So hopefully you get the idea of what I'm saying there. For £1,850, this represents a really solid and worthwhile investment. So here we are, folks, at the end of this 3dtotal review of the Xencelab 24-inch pen display. I need to leave you with a final thought, don't I? Something to take away with you. And that is that when Xencelabs designed this device, they were thinking about you. They were thinking about the end user. I've reviewed many pen display devices before, and never before have I experienced something that is as artist and as user focused as this device from Xencelabs. Everything is right there in front of your face. It's customizable. It can be exactly where you want it to be. It can be set up exactly as you want it to be. So everything you're focused on is right in front of you. That means your creative process is really, really intuitive. It is right there where you want it, and you can focus just on your painting, on your sculpting, or on your 3D modeling. It is absolutely fantastic. Now, if you have any questions about this device, please feel free to drop them as comments under either our YouTube video or the review on our website, and I will do my utmost to respond to them. But thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope that if you're shopping around for a pen display device, you really consider this device from Xencelabs really, really carefully. Thanks very much.